Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody. Welcome and thanks for being here. So Monday, I talked about the 3 poisons according to the Buddhist tradition, those being ignorance, hatred, and attachment. And if you want to hear more about those, go back and listen to that. But today I want to talk about very briefly another thing my friend Phil shared in his talk, and that was the concept of the Big Mac, not the sandwich at McDonald's, not the sandwich at McDonald's, but the Big Mac, M.A.C, mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness, right? So mindfulness, being present, being in the moment, alertness, really being aware of what's going on around you and how you're showing up, your own about yourself, and then conscientiousness. So being conscious, making conscious decisions and choices and so forth as you move through your life. Now, the Big Mac, mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness, is really the path to peace compared to those 3 poisons that the Buddhist tradition speaks of. And so today I want to share a talk I gave about peace several years ago, and hoping that this will inspire some more peaceful approach to living for you. So here we go. So I said, so this talk was called Peace Be Still. When preparing for my talk today, I couldn't help but remember while I was growing up, all the large family gatherings we had at my paternal grandparents' home. I had a ton of cousins and look back on those memories fondly. We would run around the house in circles and make all kinds of noise. When things started to get out of hand, my dear grandmother would say in her very gentle voice, "Be still. You need to be still." As I grew into adulthood and continued to spend time with them regularly, meaning my grandparents, I noticed they were living their lives that way. They never seemed in a rush to get anywhere or to do anything. They didn't often seem to take life too seriously. Maybe that's why they lived to be ages 96 and 93. I'm sure their message would be the very same for us today. Be still, relax. Everything is all right. A New Thought specialist, Eckhart Tolle, wrote a beautiful little book called Stillness Speaks. In it, he explains, stillness, quote, "Stillness is your essential nature. When you lose touch with inner stillness, you lose touch with yourself," end quote. Our lives are filled with noise and activity. Instead of running around in circles as children with a group of cousins, we as adults run around in circles with jobs, kids, committees, parents to care for, businesses to run, appointments, and volunteer work. There is always the next thing commanding our attention. We are busy doing this or doing that. Even our minds are full and overflowing sometimes, trying to keep track of everything that needs to be done and everyone's schedules straight. We also allow noise in our heads as we wrestle through decisions, regrets, and our current life circumstances, or even our pasts, which we may be struggling with on some level. These emotional burdens can be a powerful force against stillness or peace. Tolle says, quote, "The equivalent of external noise is the inner noise of thinking. The equivalent of external silence is inner silence. Stillness, is inner stillness, end quote. He recommends being still because he recognizes the value it holds. No matter how busy you are or how much you have on your mind, you must find ways to incorporate the stillness. Get quiet with yourself somewhere and clear your head of all thoughts and burdens. Just let go. Diligently taking time out daily to eliminate the internal and external noises of your life will dramatically change your life. You will be healthier physically and emotionally. You will be calmer, better equipped to handle life's ups and downs. Tolle believes, quote, stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found, end quote. So when we get quiet, new ideas may come, inspiring us to move forward with something in a better way. We will be able to think through our problems in a more reasonable way too, which can lead us to faster healing and emotional relief. After all, we are not human doings, we are human beings. Let's move outside the human kingdom to look at peace a little further. So how many of you saw the movie E.T.? I mean, this thing is old, but I recommend it to everybody. So E.T. is a creature from outer space who gets lost and doesn't get back to the spaceship in time when it leaves the Earth. He wanders into a town and he begins to interact with Elliot, one of the boys in a family. Elliot lures E.T. into his home and hides him while they get to know each other and become friends. Eventually, E.T. is able to communicate where he is from and that he needs to return there. One of E.T.'s great challenges in his journey to peace, in other words, getting back home, is the scientists who figure out he is in town and want to capture him and do experiments on him to create a greater understanding of life on other planets. Through their efforts, they experience a great deal of stress themselves and cause E.T. to nearly die. So lessons of peace from E.T. 1, he knows he's lost and off track. In other words, first, we must recognize when we are not at peace. Number 2, he knows where he needs to be. In other words, we must have an understanding of where we need to be for a peaceful life. Number 3, he makes the best of a difficult situation while on the journey to peace. In other words, he gets along with the kids, he learns about their world, he learns their language, he shares himself, and he bonds with them. In other words, on our journey to peace, we will not always be comfortable, but we need to make the best of it to get ourselves there. Number 4, when we take things too seriously, like the scientists did in E.T., we cannot have peace. Number 5, when we disconnect from our source, like E.T. was, we cannot have peace and we could even die. Years ago, I was in Barnes & Noble and I was looking at items in the stationery section when I saw a magnet with this quote, peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. So when do you feel most overwhelmed and in need of peace? Just think about that for a second. When do you feel most overwhelmed and in need of peace? And what brings you to a peaceful place again? Okay, think about that. Over a decade ago, I was asked to speak to a company that was losing millions of dollars and shutting down portions of their business, laying off over 100 people. Wanting to help them find peace in this challenging time, I validated all the feelings they were having and then suggested the following things. Number 1, self-care, balance, doing what they love to do, what relaxes them, and spending time with their best support system. Number 2, accepting what is. It's not your fault. It's not easy, but it is what it is, right? So accepting what is. Number 3, gratitude, saying thank you for something every day. Here's an example. Do you realize if you have a bank account in your name with even just $1 in it, just $1, you are richer than 1 billion people on this planet? And number 4, Trust, 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 trust. There is something bigger than all of us in charge. I'm stumbling. There's something bigger than all of us in charge. This is my belief system anyway. And with that is always looking out for us, can calm all of our storms, and that the best is yet to come. So I hope that belief can be something you can trust in, but ask yourself what foundational beliefs you have that you can really cling to in times when you do not feel peaceful. And please remember those. About 12 years ago, I learned another path to peace, and that is meditation. Now, my first impression of meditation was that it was for gurus who were 100 years old and had long beards sitting on top of mountains in far off places in the world, never interacting with anybody. And then I started meeting people like, normal ones like you and me who were making meditation a part of their daily life. Their methods and logistics varied, but all of them explain the value in quieting their minds, being still, and listening for guidance. As I began to try meditation for the first time, I leaned on the testimony and practice of one of my new friends, Dina Proctor. At one point in her life, Dina found herself an overweight, depressed, broke, alcoholic, completely lost in her life. Nothing seemed to work to turn her circumstances around. Then one day, after years of struggle, she discovered meditation, but was intimidated with the thought of sitting for long periods of time without getting distracted. Then someone suggested she just sit for a couple of minutes and see what could happen. And through these attempts, eventually, she invented what she calls 3x3 meditation, meaning meditating 3 times a day for 3 minutes each. After some time regularly practicing this, she overcame not one of her problems, but every single one of them. She believes these 9 precious minutes each day of being still and listening to her highest self transformed everything for her. And she wrote all about this in her best-selling book, Madly Chasing Peace: How I Went from Hell to Happy in 9 minutes a day. It's a great book, by the way. I recommend you go get it. The storms of her life were calmed because she believed in something bigger than herself and took the time daily to discipline herself in this way, to listen for guidance, the kind that never ever leads us in the wrong direction. She shares, and I quote her directly, "In every 3x3 meditation, my fundamental intention is to connect with my intuition. I am being alert to the inner voice or nudge of guidance that can come only in the silence. This is the source of all transformation and the first step to the solution to all problems in my experience. Maintaining that state of inner calm while interacting with others or engaging in other activities is the next step after being able to find that space within during the 3x3. The whole point is to be able to be as peaceful and non-resistant in your real life as you are in meditation by trying it a few minutes at a time. Your intuition will always lead you in the direction that is best for you. I have no doubt that following your own intuition will lead you to true happiness and peace in your life, possibly a lot faster than you could have imagined." End quote. So my encouragement for you today in sharing that talk with you, sharing these perspectives from Eckhart Tolle and Dina Proctor, sharing, thinking about the movie E.T. and what we could even learn from that popular culture phenomenon of the 80s, is that we can create peace in our lives. It is accessible to all of us. And it doesn't mean we have to stop living our regular lives and take 6 months off work or do something that feels really unrealistic. We can start literally just a couple minutes a day of sitting quietly with ourselves. And so if you are feeling stressed or non-peaceful in your life, I hope you can take some of these thoughts and ideas from today's podcast and begin to turn that state that you are in into a more positive direction. I know you can do it. It just takes our own willingness to be still, be really aware and conscientious about how we're living, how we're showing up, and how we want to choose to focus and the kind of environment we want to create within ourselves and around ourselves. So I send you my greatest blessings, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, find out more about my coaching programs, or download my free ebook, The Midlife Makeover Method, The Secret to Loving Yourself Fully and Living on Your Terms, then head over to my website at www.cindydwhitmer.com. Have a wonderful day.